Now with most knots, the simpler it is, the lower pressure it will snap at. So the more complex you get, generally the stronger it is. So a lot of people, some people think that if you tie a knot, it's not going to break, but it does reduce the strength of the line itself. So we're going to start with a figure 8,
which is basically just a wrap around itself through the loop, making an 8 in the line, and that's the loop that we're going to test at the moment.
I'm going to show you this with some, so this is 20-pound braid, so it should be breaking at about 9 kilos as its full strength, and we'll see what this breaks at. So the strength of this knot is generally about 60%, so it should be breaking a lot less than 9 kilos. So that broke at 8 kilos. So that's just quite stronger than you would think. That was a pretty good knot. Now that's the simplest one. Go to the spider hitch. Spider hitch is a quite bigger knot. So this is how you get. Slip around it. So.
I'll do that. You tie one there.
All right. So to tie these ones, get a nice big loop like that. Bend it back on itself, and you get this. And you do hitches around your finger. Generally you do about 5 or 6. I run out of rope, so I'll just do 3 for the demonstration. Pull it through, they come off like that. There you go, nice loop. That'll pull up, and then from there you can loop on a mono wind-on leader. And so, as people know with braid, it'll cut on rocks really easily. It doesn't stretch. So it's always good to have a bit of mono, hang a few meters of mono, so that for casting, for bottom bouncing, anything to stop snapping off and for stretch. So from this, I can actually loop on a pre-made wind-on leader and have 5 to 10 meters of mono leader, so for those reasons, so they don't break. This one is the simpler. The next one up we'll do is a bimini twist, and that's a bit more complex. So we'll start with the simple one and see what that breaks at. That broke at 13.5 kilos, which is above the expected 20. So you can see how going up from a figure 8 to one of these has actually made the break a lot higher. So you can see how just by increasing the complexity a little bit, you get a much better breaking strain. This is the bimini twist. We can't show you with this because it's a little bit more complex. If anyone wants to learn it after, we can show you. It's
more simple than you think.
It isn't that hard. It's literally a lot of wraps around it. It's wrapping the line around itself. So essentially it's not really a knot, it's a lot of wraps, and by doing a lot of wraps you're reducing the breaking strain by doing a knot. So we'll show you what we mean. If anyone wants to learn it after, we can wrap one up for you. So this is essentially the strongest knot for this. Yeah, so that broke at 10 kilos, so it was actually a little bit less than the spider hitch. Depending on what you're doing, the spider hitch should break a little bit less. Every knot's going to be a bit variable by how good you tie the knot. So the spider hitch and the bimini, the two best ones for doing that wind on. Now, anyone that doesn't know how to do a braid to leader knot, that's probably the most popular knot people want to learn. How to tie braid onto mono, for the reason that you want a little bit of mono at the end of your braid for stretch, for abrasion resistance on rocks. This is the simplest one, it's called a double uni knot. Jethro will quickly do a quick one for you with the rope. What you're doing is you're doing a knot over here on the braid side, a knot over here on the mono side, and you're pulling them together and they just pull off each other. And once you get that undone, I'll show you.
Cool. Basically, I like to line the two ropes up together with 2 bits of line, and then I'm going to go over on itself around my fingers and do a whole heap of loops. We'll just do 3 for now.
More loops the better, mate. We're about to explain that.
So we've got one here we're going to test with 8 loops and one with 3. Just an example, we're just going to do 3. Same again on this side. 3 loops. You end up with 2 little loops like that, 2 little coils. You pull them together.
They'll pull off each other. So that's the simpler one. So generally this will break at a lower strain. It's supposed to be a 60% rating. So if you've got 20 pound, it should be breaking at 9 kilos. So you'll get 60% of that. So you're breaking at about 5, roughly. All right, so we'll show you that now. Nothing's going to be exactly on the number, but we hopefully get close. With braid to leader knots, another thing you get with the more complex knots, they're generally thinner. So when you're casting, something like that, it's not so bad on 20 pound, but if you go up to sort of 80 pound, that knot will get quite bulky because you're doing lots of wraps. When we move up to the real complex ones, that's when they get quite thin as well as stronger. So you'll see that in a bit, but there's quite a few advantages to learning the better knots. So that broke quite low, so that was at 6 kilo, so that roughly the 60% strength that I was talking about. That one there was with 3 loops, so that was the weaker one. So now we're going to show you the one with 8 loops, and we'll hopefully demonstrate how the more you do, the better your knot's going to be. Wrap that around.
My boys.
There you go, love.
But it's the noise.
What is it?
Hello, beautiful.
8 loops.
Hello.
Hello.
Beautiful. Just so so that went up to 8 kilos instead of 6. So you can see by just doing another 5 loops, you increase your knot strength by a lot. Alright, this is the one that a lot of people want to learn, the FG knot. This is a very thin knot, so what you essentially
do it on talk.
Yeah, mate. This one we can't show with the rope, like the Bimini twist. What it is, it's lots of wraps around the 2 lines. So that's why it's actually 100% knot strength. So we should be getting 9 kilos plus from the 20 pound line. The reason you can get that is you're not actually tying knots. You're wrapping the braid around the mono a certain amount of times, and the braid is actually gripping, it's cutting into the mono as you pull it. Not going to cut it in enough to snap it, but it'll cut in and hopefully hold it there. Now, to show the difference between doing a good FG and a bad FG, like every knot, this one only has 12 wraps. The good one we've got does about 25. So we're doing half the wraps. This one only has, if you want to learn the knot at the end, we'll show you what I mean by the process of the knot. This only have 2 half hitches, so it's 2 little lock-offs at the end. And it doesn't burn the ends. With these, what we do is you like to do get the lighter and run a little bowl at the end of the mono. It balls up, and that stops it from slipping through. So this one doesn't have that. So this is, you do get some people come in and they're saying how, you know, it wasn't 100% knot strength. We'll see things like that, not enough wraps, not burning the ends, and not doing those half hitches. That'll explain it. So this one it won't be 100% if it goes to plan. Yeah, so there you go. So that broke at 6 kilos. So that's an example of a bad FG knot. If you don't do enough loops. Now we go on to the good one. This is 25. You can see it's quite a bit longer, but it's still really thin. So if you're casting for salmon, casting for anything, even whiting, we'll do this on our 6 pound line all the way up to our 100 pound. It's thin. It will go through your guides really easily compared to that first one that was quite bulky. So, and like I said, this has got the lighter and put a little bowl on the end that stops it from slipping through. So all this is wraps around the mono with the braid. And that broke at 10.5 kilos when it should be breaking at 9. So that's just showing you how strong that knot is. So if anyone wants to learn that after, we'll show you that one. Best braid to lead a knot that you can do. Don't think any better.
Any strength, any size.
Any size, mate. I do anywhere from a whiting gear up to my big heavy popping gear, sharp gear. That's it, mate.
All these knots are relative. We're doing it with 20 pound because it's easy to break, so we don't put our foot on the wall. It's all relative percentage-wise as it goes up, but we have guys put new braid on. They'll come back next day and say, "Oh, this braid's crap. I went to cast and everything just flew off and snapped." And 99.9% of the time, it's just because of an incorrect knot or a knot tied incorrectly. But the braid will literally cut itself in half. It's as simple as that. It slices, it slices your finger. That's why double the amount of wraps, plus 2 for good luck is imperative, and then you'll never have any dramas.
Yep.
Yeah. Never ever.
And just to finish it off, the last 2 knots, guys, we're doing just basic, tying to a swivel, tying to a hook. Basic knots. We've got 2. There's a blood knot and a uni knot. Some of you guys are probably familiar with those.
Blood knot there, one's just tied.
This is your blood knot.
So they're the ones that 90% of fishermen know how to do.
Yeah, quite easy ones.
Testing to see which one's the strongest for a bit of fun. Let's do the blood knot.
So that's the blood knot. So you got your Dewey rig You're tying your knot onto your swivel. You've got your whole rig there, so this will show you which one's probably the better one to use out of strength-wise. You've got to put her on it, she's taking you to the reef.
40 pound.
This is 40-pound line, by the way, it's a bit heavier. And it broke at 12.5 kilo. So,
36.
so you're looking at about 60%. So yeah, 20 kilo line, 12 kilo break. So you're looking about 60% efficiency.
Should be a box out the back for it, mate.
And this is a double uni or a single uni here, which is very similar to the knot that we use for joining, except you're only doing one uni knot and it's forming a loop and tying itself onto the. I can show that. Tying it with the swivel.
And so that broke at 12.5. So the uni knot was a bit stronger than the blood knot. So if you really want to we can show you the difference. The difference is quite minimal, but the uni does have a slightly better break constraint. So
So the uni knot, it's the same thing where I'm doubling it over and still wrapping it around my fingers, forming those coils around there, and then just pulling that tight. And that forms my loop. And simply I'll have my swivel in there, pull that tight.
that was the strongest of the two.
Very similar to hangman, isn't it?
Very similar, yeah. They've all got different names, one different loop makes the
the same.
difference.
It's similar to,
Yeah.
So if you want to do yourself.
Yeah, make sure you do it properly.
Alright, does anyone want to learn an FG or just the double
Oh,
uni,
no,
the
we're
basic
full
one?
one.